Welcome back to another episode of the Paths Talk Show. I'm your host, Justin Holland, and today's guest, he is the podcast host of Stojafy. He has the #1 podcast on his street, and he got hacked at 500k subscribers and followers. Welcome, Daniel Stojafy.
Welcome. Yeah, I got hacked at 500,000, man. Yeah.
Man, how did that feel?
It never happened.
Yeah.
I put that there. I was trying to poke a bit of fun at all the other people saying I got hacked at this much, and it's all bullcrap. So
Yeah.
we let us swear on this podcast.
That's fine.
Okay,
Good.
it was all bullshit. But
Yeah, I found that funny. I was like, man, I can see you just pushing the stick into it, like just teasing people.
yeah, I like
which
to
is
tease.
great.
I like to tease people till they tease back. I'm like, oh, that hurt. you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. it's
Oh
all
man.
good.
But I'm actually curious how you actually got started with your podcast. Like, were you interested in starting a podcast in the past, or was it just something you just got into?
I've wanted to do podcasting since back in 2000 and probably 15, 16. I can't remember exact date when Joe Rogan was on. So when did Bitcoin have the big boom happen? It was about 2007. No, 2015, I think it was. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I was with a mate, and we were always talking about starting something, and I had a dream for it, had a feeling, had a vibe, and said, I really want to do this. I'm really interested in talking to other people and just presenting myself and growing in that aspect. So it started there, and then it took me such a long time to actually start it afterwards. Like the dream went away, disappeared, did other things until one day I discovered Nick. And the feeling just grew, just really intensified last year or the year before over Christmas while I was in Melbourne. It really intensified, and I said, all right, April the next year. So last year, April, I said, by that time, I'm going to have my first episode, regardless if it's good, crap, whatever. It's getting released, listening to Tony Robbins, just do it, So I said, I'm doing it. And that was it.
Yeah, and I heard about the story how you first sat down with Nick and he made you feel comfortable and he was just listening to you talk, and then from there he was asking you a series of questions. And I remember you saying you actually have the talent to start your own podcast. So
Yeah.
how was that experience first meeting Nick?
He's a great salesman. He's like, you're fantastic at this. You can do this, like every great PT out there. Yeah, you can do it. You've lost so much weight. It's only been a couple of days and I lost nothing. It was a good experience, man. It just felt right. I just sat there, just started talking, and I really, over the years in construction, so basically from my first time that I wanted to start podcasting to when I did, I was shy, timid, but when I was comfortable, I was really outgoing with my friends and whatnot, and always a bit of a comedian. So when I went into construction during that time to start working as an engineer and working with multiple people on a daily basis and learning communication and talking, that really just helped to solidify my personality. So when I came in to do podcasting with Nick, and when I came the first time to talk to him, it just really felt right. I felt comfortable. That's the biggest thing. It just felt really comfortable, and he made me feel at ease. And yeah, we still got a partnership to this day. It's not like I'm doing massive numbers or anything, man. But I'm happy doing it. If I get upset or if I'm getting drowned out in other aspects of life, then I'll just think about a upcoming episode or thinking about something that we're going to be doing together, like all of us, like Unhinged, the food reviews, or any other type of podcast, and it just actually makes me happy. I just feel happy.
I love that. And it was good to see you from the early days when you just started posting your content to where you are now, where you had that massive transformation. And I love the fact that you do food reviews, and I feel that's what's really starting to kick off your career. And you're getting like a lot of views just through that, especially once you've done like Spanian.
Yeah, because he's a personality of his own. You just put his name in there, and people like just having a look straight away. Like, are his kebabs really that good? And yeah, they are. They're quite nice and tasty. But thanks, man, for the compliments there. And also there was a transformation, because I don't know where this is going to take me or where we're going to go, but I'm enjoying it. And you can notice that when you're doing something right, it just flows. And you can start to see within yourself that you're feeling happy doing it. It makes sense. It adds meaning, and there's no resistance. So, I mean, the only resistance that I have now with doing this is actually, okay, how do we grow it? But also, what guests do I want to speak to? Because that's always going in flux. Like, where do I want to go to and who do I feel is right? And trying to filter out who's right for the conversation as well. Like, you have real people such as yourself and others that I want an organic conversation. I want to learn something. And there's others that are just trying to get clickbait and grow. So trying to just filter out who's right and who's not and what will work.
That's what I kind of noticed in my own journey as well, where the more you grow in podcasting, the more people want to be interviewed by you. And that's when you have to be selective who you choose and who is more authentic and who can deliver a story where it can inspire people. That's what I look for anyway. So if you were to look for a guest, who would be your ideal guest?
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
Just someone that is real, not AI, but I want someone that's real and ready to talk about their story and has some type of passion that was ignited that will come through. It's just they're real conversations with real people. I put that on my Instagram as well, and I'm always going to hold to that. I want someone that I can have a real conversation with, and in those real conversations, you'll find little gems, little nuggets of gold. Sometimes you find a big pot of gold in there, and something magnificent will happen. But it's just those little aspects, and then you'll get comments later from people saying, "Wow, I listened to that there, and that really resonated. I've been feeling like crap, and I'm really grateful for that." So that's what I'm looking for. Someone could say to me, "Here's $1 million, or you're going to impact these people's lives, and you're really going to make a difference." I'll probably take the $1 million the way I'm feeling at the moment. No, I won't. But I would rather impact people's lives because that's more, and that brings you closer to what we're going to be discussing later, potentially, as we go through faith. But that brings you closer to who you really are to help people, man. Because that's what it's about, Justin.
It truly is, and it's good to see how, I know from my personal experience, where a lot of people are starting to turn more into faith, or even just having more confidence within their faith, and they're actually talking about it more. And it's such I don't know, I feel emotional just talking about it, how people have the confidence to talk about their faith now, where before a lot of people were ashamed of it and they didn't want to express themselves in case they were shut down and persecuted.
That's interesting. Growing up in being Serbian Orthodox, Macedonian Orthodox, or just the Orthodox in general, so you got Russian, Greek, they're all the closest ones. We grew up in faith. We grew up, so we get christened, and God is a part of our lives from childhood. That's it. And it's in our language. It's in everything that we do. So that persecution, I never felt it. I remember there would be division when I was younger through Muslims and Christians sometimes. But then also some atheists would then say something against, let's say, Jesus Christ, and then both would jump in together against it, so you saw that camaraderie at times, but there was that division. But the persecution, it's so much more accepting now. When I think about it, it's just I was always sheltered and always far away from other people. So I was always living in my own little corner. But now going further in life at work and seeing other people, there's a lot of people it's either my eyes have opened or everyone's just been a lot more open about what they believe in. So it's quite interesting in that. But the persecution, I feel that no one should ever be persecuted for their belief in God.
Yeah. I think it's just what people mostly see on social media, where a lot of Christians actually get tested on their faith. And when it comes to knowing the Bible, for example, a lot of people get stuck in certain chapters of the Bible where they don't really know the chapters, and people are putting it on them and persuading them away from Christianity, which is
it's disgusting.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know. You know what? I haven't read the Bible back to front. I haven't, and I'll say it. But I'm Christian. I believe in God. I go to church. I pray. But I find my way in doing it. Now, I don't get too much into biblical and what happened and this. They said this and they said that. My favorite saying in the whole thing is, I'm going to paraphrase this and butcher it. It's Christ says, someone turn the other cheek. Someone says something to you or whatever, or hits you and you turn the other cheek. Yes. I actually think that means turn their cheek, That's the way I like to look at it.
I
But
get you.
the fact is, when you go to someone's book and say this, 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 and this, and this, and they pull it out and you start to destroy the fabric of what they believe instead of actually helping to educate them, regardless, because there's all different versions out there. I'm starting to find out, like, now you got the King James version. I'm sorry if I offend anyone, but it's sort of like they're all written after the fact and updates and all these things. I think you have to go back to the original, but the original testaments and whatnot. And then you have scholars looking at them. I'm not a scholar.
Yeah.
I don't know what they meant. I just know what I feel.
Have you seen Wesley recently?
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, exactly.
He was on Joe Rogan podcast, and he was also on a debate with Billy Carson.
Carson.
Yeah, where he was talking about I think it's called the synoptic Bible, and he was saying like the crucifixion never existed. And obviously he was referring to the book of Barnabas or the Gospel of Barnabas, which is known to be a forgery back in the 13th, 14th century. And from there, I could see that was towards the downfall of Billy Carson, especially when Wesley was a historical scholar educating him about the Bible. And he has like full like histories on each Bible and when they actually were like published.
He goes to the point where he rewrites stuff on papyrus paper.
Yeah.
So I would not debate someone. I would never debate anyone on religion. I'd love to have a discussion. But with Billy Carson, look, I understand Billy Carson and where he's going with his discussions and what he believes is true. And I don't disagree with a lot of what he says. For example, Sirius, Dogon tribe, Indigenous Australians, and going back to how, like, everything he discussed, I believe in that stuff. I agree with a lot of it, but I don't believe you should go and then attack and say the crucifixion never happened. Was I there? I don't know if it happened. I just know I believe it did because there are stories through that. But it's sort of like to get into a debate with a scholar, someone that studies that, and to say stupid things like that, I'm going to say he's a little bit of an idiot for doing it. Shouldn't have done it. And that's just my opinion on that. Don't sue me. Don't send us letters for, to cease and desist. That was wrong.
2:30 a.m. in the morning.
That was wrong as well. But you just sort of like a lot of people, their egos, in here, a lot of people are coming out to start talking about religion and God and trying to get quick likes, trying to become someone out of it. You can't do that. It's a humble process that takes years of dedication, love, hardship. There's sacrifice involved.
Absolutely.
You don't just overnight meet God. Some people do with their stories, but they've got something else going on that's brought them to that. So yeah, I found it was interesting. I like Wes.
Yeah, he's good. Like, it's cool to see.
Is it Wes or Les? Wes. Yeah, Wes. Wesley.
Yeah.
Wesley.
Wesley Huff. But it's cool to see someone like that just educating people about the Bible, especially when it comes to the historical aspects of the Bible to the most recent times in the Bible and educating us on how we can possibly become better Christians. But there's something I've always been reflecting about, especially this week, and that is believing and being a follower of Jesus, right? Where a lot of people tend to just believe, but there's a difference between someone who follows Christ and actually picks up their cross, not like a physical cross, but just follow the ways of the Father and does the Father's will. And I find that so important in matter of fact of having that transformation within yourself and letting the Holy Spirit really take over you and guide you towards the right path, which, like Jesus says, he's the way, the truth, and the life. And the only way through the Father is through him. And I'm starting to have those realizations now that how important it is to be able to be a follower more than just a believer.
Interesting, man. I've noticed, and you've been going through this for a while, but also this little period where you disappeared from the toothache and we didn't see you for a little while. There's a big transformation that's happened there, so I find that very interesting. So, but what exactly So then, all right, in saying that, so what exactly are you following? What are you feeling, and what are you doing? I'd like to know a bit more about that. Turn this into my podcast on you.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, it's all good.
you know, so what are you following exactly? Give us an example.
Obviously, reading a lot of scripture now
Yeah.
and really immersing myself within scripture, getting a pure understanding what everything means. And you find in different chapters, they all come together into one important message through Christ. And also through that time away, which you said, I was in hospital and I was suffering for 5 days, but I know I felt so connected to God, which He gave me that sense of being calm. And I knew there was a lot of people that were going through worse situations, where I saw a lot of old people that were stressing and they were wondering where their family was. And it got me realizing how important your family actually is, for one. And two, I had something playing in my heart where whenever you feel in trouble, there's this thing that Jesus says, come before me for those who are heavy laden and anxious at heart, and I will give you rest. Take your yoke upon me and learn from me, as my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So from there, when I prayed to God, it gave me so much comfort, and it helped me have a more clearer direction towards being stronger with my faith.
Yeah, beautiful. In hearing that as well, in the story that you told when we're on the Unhinged episode, it's sort of like you started doing a bit of God's work and you started to ease other people and take their pain as well. And that's usually like the next step that you go when you go through your own suffering. You want to help alleviate other people from theirs. But that's amazing, man. That's amazing. And the fact that you're reading it, I've got to get into the scriptures myself. I've got to read something. I've got to read the Bible back to front, go into it, see what it says. I've read some stuff, but it just really never resonated. But now, being older, going through my own trials and tribulations, going through my own pain, you'll find aspects in it that will resonate with you. Have you watched Passion of the Christ?
I have.
Yeah. How do you feel about that movie?
I enjoyed it just because back then when I was early into faith, I got a better understanding on what it would have been like to be in those times, on how they would have actually struggled, and how Jesus got persecuted, he got beaten up, and obviously he was called an infidel through the high priest as well as the people that were against Jesus. And for him to stay strong and having the ability to go through what he did and die for our sins, and obviously raised again in the third day, is I couldn't bear to imagine what that would be like to go through that. And it gave me a better understanding what he did for us by dying and going on the cross. What about yourself?
Yeah, I watched it way after everybody else did. I remember I was at university, so this was probably about 2013, 14. I was at UTS and I walked out of the engineering building and I was walking to the main building, and it was night time, so I finished night class and it was a big screen outside and I was watching it, but it was the scene where they were putting in the hitting the nails into his hand. It was just all echoing and it was really intense. I couldn't watch it, so I walked past and I said, you know what, I need to watch this movie. So I finally watched it, and it was intense. It was hard, but there's an aspect of it. There's love in there as well that you need to show and respect and honor that. But it's a hard movie. It was something else that I wanted to go through with that. I had a conversation with one of my colleagues at work who's a Muslim man, and he asked me in the most innocent way. He looked at the cross in the ute that we had, and he goes, "Why do you have this cross? What do you sell it? What is this?" And I told him it's Jesus on the cross, and he died for our sins. And he goes, "But why?" But he goes, "But if he was brutally murdered on there, why would you have that as a reminder?" And I looked and said, "That's an interesting way to look at it." And I stopped for a moment and I said to him, "You know what? This is a reminder to me to always stand for what you believe in. And never let anyone else change your mind or force you to do things that you don't want to do. You know, you could go there, plead, I don't know what I'm talking about. No, sorry, have forgiveness. He continued to go through what he believed. And there's a mission in there and a self-sacrifice. I said to him, I don't celebrate him on the cross. I celebrate the belief inside that we come from something good and beautiful and we will never give up. And that's it. We will never give up. And he looked at me and goes, oh, that's a good answer. And I stick with that now. It's, for me, I look at it differently to how a lot of other people do. And I applaud people to really respect that about themselves and go dig a bit deeper. You don't have to go fully into the scriptures. No offense to you. Like, it's beautiful that you are, and I'll start doing that as well.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like, go dig in, and what does it tell you? What do you feel? Because it's inside us. We are connected. Same way as our parents' DNA is within us. There is stardust within us, and there's also God within us. Everything within us, all the history within us. Go in there. How do you feel? What does it tell you? What's it showing you? And let that come up and go further, you know?
No, I completely get that. And obviously, I know a lot of Christians out there don't read the Bible, and then you have those that do. And for me, I found it was a way to understand God's words more in a deeper sense.
Yeah.
And from there, it's amazing to see, like for me, I always thought like the prophets were perfect until, let's say, for example, King David, he's lied, he has cheated, and he's a murderer, and he's done so many things. But what separates him from a lot of people, he had a sincere heart. And every time he sinned, he always asked God for forgiveness. And at the end of the day, it's all about like seeking God first. And also in like a lot of the prophets was talking about, there were some of them like Isaiah were predicting exactly what happened on the day where he was crucified. And to see that being prophesied in the Old Testament and then seeing it go through in the New Testament where Jesus actually done everything that the prophets had prophesied about the Son of Man when he actually was here on earth. And it was just cool to just get a more historical understanding on Jesus's life and the foundations on when the earth was just like put together. So I found it was more like of a historical connection as well as a different way to connect my relationship to God.
Interesting, man. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, God bless you.
Thank you. And I like the fact that what you guys do for Lent, because I know a lot of people who come from an Orthodox background where you take like Lent a lot more serious than other denominations, especially when it comes to fasting.
Yeah.
And I've always respected that about like...
There's all different aspects to fast. Forgive me. These chairs are Nick's new chairs here.
Yeah.
There's all different ways. There's different ways to do it. Like there's different levels. Like the way that I would do it, I don't do it too much, but when you feel that you need to and you get a good cleanse out of your body and then you finally go get gifted you feel gifted once, so you go to the church and you with the Pope and you let out what's hard on you. So it's a process of like you can do it for as long as you want. Usually like people do it for a week, 2 weeks, 6 weeks before also Easter, Christmas, all these times. Actually, I don't know if they do Christmas. I know Easter's a big one. And you don't eat red meat. You just eat fish, for example. Like a lot of us Serbians and Macedonians will just eat fish on Friday. I don't. I eat anything but when I feel like I need to do something a little bit holy instead of going to a church, well, then we just concentrate on that day and this is the meal and then it stays with you. People give up coffee. People give up alcohol. The really ones that go a bit more hardcore will just have water and like beans and stuff like that, like really simple foods, and they do that for a full period. And then it's literally just cleaning out your system and your body so you can get rid of all the other stuff and you understand what it is to sacrifice. And then when you finally go to church and you let out what it is that's bothering you or what you would like, or forgiveness. So you start to go through these processes, and it's a relief. And then afterwards you get bread dipped in wine, and you have that, and then you have a meal together with family afterwards. So again, it brings you to that family aspect. But I enjoy the Lent process that the Orthodox Church does. Definitely, I haven't done it in full. I will. We'll talk about that.
Yeah,
I think we'll start doing. I think we should start planning to do things so we can all get closer to God. Like, I've got some ideas for me and you. I think we need to go on pilgrimage together. I think we need to
definitely.
we need to go do something. We need to go discover
I
God
think the
together.
pilgrimage will be good, like especially just watching that movie. What was it called? The Way, My Way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was
and
good.
a lot of the lessons the old man got from it is pretty much what a lot of
Yeah.
Christ teaches.
Not too much headspace.
Yeah,
You know, that is like the OG. That's like an OG walk, and that's something that we are going to do. We're going to do that next year. You want to do it?
yeah, for
You're
sure.
down? Let's go do it. And someone told me, "Oh, go watch The Way." That's the Camino Walk. Go watch that movie, The Way, the original one. Oh, I don't know if it's the original one, but that's the one with Martin Sheen. And I was like, "Oh, this is a sign. This is the next part of my life." So I went and watched it, and then in the first couple of minutes, Daniel, I'm like, "Oh, there's Daniel in there." He dies. Like, oh, damn. Have you watched that movie with Martin Sheen?
No, I haven't.
You have to. So I'm not spoiling anything. It's in the first part. So his son dies.
Wow.
And then it's interesting. He's a dentist, or he's some type of doctor, and his son was a free spirit, and his son sort of like broke his heart because he didn't want to go ahead with following his father's footsteps. So he gets the news that his son passed away. And okay, spoiler alert to anyone that doesn't want to watch it, but you should go watch and just listen to what we're saying. And he goes to find the body in France. There was a storm that killed him, and then he was going through his own stuff, and then he cremated the body, and he went and he said he started to walk, and it's such a beautiful story of growth in there. And then finally, when he gets to the end, and then he gets to the cathedral, and he continues afterwards, like he sees his son there. So it's all these memories, and like he can see his son there, and then he continues further on. He scatters his ashes in the water, and then afterwards you see the transformation that he underwent, which is from this stern, hard doctor that's all he does, to right at the end of the movie, you see the transformation. He's traveling, and he's got his walking stick, and he's going to see other places, other people. So that's like, for me, that story always hits home. It's something just getting emotional talking about it. It's so real. I'm like, I want to do that.
So interesting, and it would be a transformational experience, especially I haven't done the two, but like I've experienced fasting for 40 days and gone for long walks, and you do have big like reflections on different things in your life, and you come to terms of forgiveness for a lot of things. You have a lot more compassion. You understand a lot more about suffering, sacrifice, and what is your purpose in life? Like, what are you put on this earth to do? And obviously, in life, we can go through multiple purposes, but you have a few people. Let's say if you go to like China, Indonesia, or those type of countries, a lot of people only have like one purpose that they go through their entire life, just trying to fulfill that purpose. And those are the things I like to reflect on in my own time. It's like, what are we put on this earth to do? How are we going to impact the world to become, like, make people a better version of themselves? And if you were to go back and think when you were starting your podcast, what type of impact would you like to make in terms of making people a better version of themselves?
Showing vulnerability, being authentic and real. So my podcast isn't scripted. It's not pre-planned. It's not, I'm going to go here and I'll try and make him talk about this or make him cry. I just want a real conversation. And what I want to show is be authentic and real. Be who you are. We don't have enough time to be somebody else. I've always said that, there's a big puzzle out there in the universe. It is a puzzle, and everyone's a piece of it. So everyone matters. So it's sort of like, and what I realized through when I was growing up, and especially in my 20s, discovering myself, and I had my own mentor, a Native American man that was very accepting of, that showed us to even go further within our religion instead of saying, hey, come this way, the stars, the water, it's beautiful, but, he would say, you're Jesus. He would also do these things, and you go further and you'll find your own beauty. He say to you, go read the book. Have you read the book Course in Miracles, or the Book of Miracles?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, so I bought that one. It's a massive book. I can't read this, but it sort of like would push you further along in your own belief, regardless of what you believe. Just go further and you'll find beauty in there. So taking that and what I experienced in my 20s through depression, because I'm a funny guy. Let's be honest, I'm a funny guy, but I lost.
On your way to being a comedian as well.
I am a comedian, but I'm going to do stand-up comedy very soon. But I wanted to show that to other people. Like, I lost it. I was depressed, anxious. I had all these pains, but I went through great spiritual growth. And I was like, okay, these other people have gotten these podcasts, but they feel empty for me. Okay, they're not hitting the nail on the head. I want to give forward my view. I want to talk to people my way, and I think I can do a good job of holding a conversation and making people feel comfortable and disarm them, and getting to really, what's important to them, and getting the truth out, and so they can feel lighter as well, because like a natural healer, where a lot of us are, even yourself, like that's what you did in hospital when you helped those people, and you would have found that gift within yourself. So I said, I want to show this, and I want to start experiencing this. I want to go further in this. Do I want to be like an engineer for the rest of my life? Well, yeah, I love it. I love building bridges and building motorways, but there's more to life, and there's more meaning there. And I've got somewhere that I want to go, and I don't know where it is. I don't know. I do know how to get there, and we'll get to that, but it's sort of like, I don't where, I don't know what that is, but I know that the path is through finding myself, sharing my experiences, and walking this path, which I found through the podcasting, the videos, and walking that path. And it's going to take me to where I'm seeking something, just like in The Alchemist, where when you finally find home. And I think that's what I'm seeking, like that moment in time and in life when you finally cry and you found it. And that's what I'm seeking.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying completely. And it's funny that, like, God puts a vision in your heart, and it's just you, a matter of following that path, no matter what obstacles actually go in your way, and how you can potentially overcome these obstacles and grow and be able to have these unique experiences, which is so beautiful. Because, like, one thing I really like about you is you're going through your journey. You're just you. You're not pretending to be anyone else. And I see a lot of people gravitate towards you because, like, a lot of people try to pretend to be something they're not, where they pretend to be like a certain type of way where they're trying to sell themselves. But with you, you just say things how you see it. And I can see why people actually love you so much. And I can see you reaching your goals in the future and finding the way that you need to follow.
Oh, I love how you put that together. You're so eloquent in your words, and thank you. I hope, yeah, you're going to be there with on my journey, mate, when we walk in the Camino and when we go to Jerusalem together. We don't have, like I said before, we don't have enough time in life to be anybody else, and it's a shame if you live your life trying to be something else that you're not. Be who you are, accept it, love it, and then you'll see that it flourishes. And then going through the trials in life and having hardship is what adds color. All your imperfections is what adds color. That's what I said, and that's what I feel about you. Like when you were on my podcast and we're talking about your story and what you went through, and those hardships, and dyslexia and speech and that stuff, that adds color. That adds color to your voice, adds vibrance to who you are. It's not perfect. And then you work harder to I guess you work harder to try and perfect it or get it to a point where you're happy with it. And then that adds even more of who you are into it, And what I find is, and I've said this many times before, it's like when you have trouble, You don't know what to do. You don't know where to go. You just ask for help.
100%.
To whoever it is. Ask someone, a mentor, a person, but even though if you don't have it, ask for guidance from above, man. The other day I had something that was really troubling my mind. And I said, fuck it. You know, I haven't done this in a while. Please, this is troubling me. So I had to be honest to myself. This is troubling me. I'm having problems with this. Can you help me? I don't know what to do. I need you to help me here, please. And I just left the situation. I just left it. And then that night, the next day, bop, I said, you know what? I'm not going to force myself and try to just leave it. And it just I started to see it resolve itself. I'm like, wow. Give it space, ask for help. It's there. Whether you believe in God or not, you just understand that there's something there, power. Ask for help and you'll see. And then it'll show itself to you eventually and you know which path to take.
So true. And it always comes to that point when you're struggling and suffering. Sometimes some people are at their lowest point in life and they've tried everything, but they haven't tried God. And at the time, they don't know if they're speaking to God, or some people say the universe, and they just ask for that help. And when you receive that help, you start to gain more faith, which is amazing. And I know something that I went through, especially last year, that helped me grow even more is especially when it comes down to through times of trials and tribulations, where in the past I used to blame other people or blame other things that happened in my life. But now I am thankful for those situations, because when you're thankful for those situations, those tough times will pass and you know good times will come.
They will.
Yeah.
And they always do, man. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. There's always, it goes from night to dark, but we need to go through night. So when the sun does the full circle, it's light. And then it goes down, it sets, it goes into the underworld. It goes inside, so it goes into dark parts and it shines light, and you must go through it. It's like, there's many different, that's why a lot of rituals and stuff are done at night, candlelight, to take away the sun so that you could start getting introspection, going further within, and you have to face those demons and you have to face whatever's in there, and you have to, it's interesting. You know, I was just talking like that. I just remember something that Top put on. Like, I've seen him starting to go further with Christmas, putting a lot of Orthodox stuff. So you see such, plug for such a beautiful man. I've never met him, but I will one day. He's a friend of yours.
He's a good guy, yeah. I knew him since I was a kid.
The thing is, such a hard man. You look at him like, oh my God, but he's so soft. And when it comes to faith and belief and religion, and because of his background being from the Balkans, I think it's Serbian, it shows you how that's ingrained in us from birth. And what that does for us as a people, where other people in other parts of the world don't have that, and you can see how lost they are. All you have to do is you go, faith, they have God, they have their beliefs, and it's ingrained in their family traditions. Flourishing, beauty. Not all of them, some of them, but there's other aspects to it which you can talk about how
become more fruitful.
Yes, and then you have other people with that are telling, oh, God doesn't love you because there's other families say God doesn't love you because you're no good, blah blah blah. And that causes pain and harm, and they run away from it. But us, we say God loves you no matter what, and it's grown, and you see how strong the family unit is, and fruitful the life is. Yeah, but then you look on the other side where people don't have that, and they're lost. They don't know what's going on. And then you have all these illnesses. You have a lot of it's like there's broken families. There's all this other stuff which we won't get into because we might get demonetized off your channel, with my whole, and maybe TikTok won't like me anymore.
Yeah, true.
But it is purely that point,
No, you're absolutely right when it comes to like when people try to spend their life away from God, we tend to become more scattered and lost and make bad choices, which leads us into more darkness. And I love what you said. God loves us no matter what, no matter how dark the rabbit hole we go and how much we fall into sin. All we need to do is invite him in. And when we do, you see that change start to happen, and you just need to be able to give him your heart. And when you give him your heart, he looks after the rest. He helps you evolve over that time. Like I've seen it in myself. and I'm sure you've seen it too, going through your journey, where I start to see like these little things change, even though I try to compromise at times, but God overcomes all things. And I know he's done that with my life. And I'm assuming he's done the same with you. And
Yeah.
I like what you said about tops, because I remember when he was on Nick's podcast and he spoke about that motorbike accident he went on.
Mm.
And he was in hospital and he was struggling and suffering. And apparently he died in his hospital bed. And when he woke up, the first person he saw was Jesus. And he was overwhelmed and he felt unworthy, where he couldn't talk because he felt unworthy. And from that, and when he woke up, you saw that massive transformation he went through. And even now you can see he's posting more about his faith, and he is talking on other like channels that speak about Christianity and providing value in that aspect as well. So it's good to see he's becoming more fruitful, and hopefully one day you'll get to have a conversation
All
with
of us
him as
together.
well.
We'll have it in this studio here. We'll get the couch out. We'll have a couple of stogies. You don't smoke, I will. But you can also see from that we'll ask him, how was your life before? And you look now, how is your life now? And you will see how much better someone's life is. All it is, you have to find the truth. But in his moment there, he had the accident, he was struggling, all that. So you go for the inner turmoil, and then something appeared. Someone appeared to help you. You know what I mean? It's sort of like those experiences you can't force. Those experiences will come when you're ready. And they'll come in many different ways. Here's one: he saw Christ, he saw Jesus there. Other people experience something else, a pure moment where your heart will open and you've never felt those feelings before. So you can never force that. But it's interesting when you hear those stories from people and the transformation they have in their life afterwards, mate, you know?
I love that. And I want to actually go more into you getting into stand-up comedy.
Oh, okay, let's go.
Yeah. So when do you plan to get started with
This
that?
year.
This year?
Soon. So I haven't given myself a date like I did for podcasting, but I need to. I need to prepare some jokes, and I need to go out there. And I need to lose the fear of failing, because you know there's always a chance of your jokes flopping. You know, I need to go out there and find a rhythm, because when I get into it, I feel and it flows. But that's with friends, podcasting, having a mad time at work, being witty. It comes, but sort of like that's a different dynamic. I'm not used to that, so really I'll have to give it a go. I can feel that that's something I need to do. If it works out, awesome. If it doesn't, I tried. But I'll just go to an open mic night. I'll do 5 minutes. I'm nervous about it.
Did you want any of us to be there, or you
Yeah,
just
you
want
can
to do
all
it on
come.
your own?
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. Nick's
Nick,
gonna
I'll
be
bring
there.
my partner as well.
Hey, yeah, welcome. Yep, just heckle me in America, and we'll start going hard.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll talk about Joe Biden for a little bit.
Yeah.
And you know Kamala Harris or whatever his name is, and even I like Trump. I don't mind him. He's all right. We can talk about him too. But yeah, I will. The people, I'll let you know, because it makes it easier for me, and then I'll pay you to laugh as well.
Yeah, for sure.
But you know, definitely before halfway point of this year. So definitely next couple of months. I've got content there, man. My phone's full of jokes. And I just find funny moments. The thing is, I never used to write them down. So I had all these funny things, but I never write them down. I can't remember them. So now I'm just always writing them down.
Smart.
And then you build on them. And we'll see how we go, man. But definitely, yeah, it's, you know, I use humor. I've always used humor to diffuse situations, tense household. So you be funny, make your mum laugh. You know, that's why I realized at work when situations were tense, I used to just like throw a little bit of a joke in there to try and break the tension. And I just realized that's like a defense mechanism for me. And a lot of people do that. And a lot of comedians have a lot of trauma and stuff like that, like fucked up. I don't have a fucked up childhood, but they have hardship, and just the humor comes out. So I'm just like, okay, all right. So
Yeah, I get it. And are you actually planning to do like behind the scenes before you get into the event, or
Yeah,
doing a
sure.
5 minute like
Yeah.
stand-up comedy?
If Nick wants to come along, he's behind there. Can't even see him anymore. Pop your head out. There he is.
Yeah.
No, I would like to. And I think this is a part of the path. Talk show. This is a part of the path that we need to take, and I need to go down and to show behind, just show more of who I am real, and then we'll see how it goes, man. But we'll definitely do that. And I can see myself, like, I went to go see my cousin Vlad at the Comedy Store, doing his live podcast like 2 months ago. And I was like, I can't wait to be in this room doing something. Like, I can feel it. And it's not that hard. I have jokes and stuff. It's just getting up there and just feeling comfortable and getting into it.
Yeah. I can also see you doing, what's that guy's name who comes here? Andrew
Hamilton.
Yeah. Doing a lot of his content as well, like where you're going through a ribbon thing where you're making fun of like motivational content and all that type of stuff. Where
I like, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Let's do that.
It's funny because I know there was a guy who did that, but he was doing it where he was like saying pretty much the most simple things, and it's funny, but you see the other guy just standing there like this.
Interesting.
And he was like the first person to actually do it, and he ended up becoming extremely popular just for doing that type of podcast type of content, because everyone else was doing motivational speaking on podcast, but the way he made himself different was through that.
Interesting. You got to find a niche, man, and I'm still trying to work out mine. Like, you get some people like I can change my way. So if I have someone here, obviously talking about a deeply traumatic story, I can be serious, compassionate, listen. No worries. Talking about God, can do that. But my natural state is laughing. My natural state is jokes. My natural state is taking it too far. I love it. I will never stop. Obviously, you're not going to go to a funeral, and even maybe then you should just make jokes and laugh, you know. Probably shouldn't, but I'm like that. I like to push things to the edge and just take them too far. And at work, like when I'm at work, everyone's having a good time laughing. We're obviously, to the bosses, if they watch this, we're all working, we're productive. But when I'm not there for a week or two, when I come back, everyone's like, we really noticed you weren't here. It's because I put a lot of effort into building culture, making sure everyone's having a good time and getting the best out of themselves, but also having a good laugh. But also that inner bully, so when I was bullied as a child and I bullied other people, is still there. So it's interesting because I had a knack for finding, I don't know what it is, it's like a radar for finding that thing that people are trying to hide and exposing it. But you do, if you're a motivational speaker or a PT, you'd put them in a nice way saying, that's your block there. Me, I do it for a bit of comedy. And then I've got to try and fine tune it so I don't hurt people's feelings. But
yeah. Especially in today's era where everyone is a lot more sensitive.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah?
I don't care. I don't care anymore. Like, you don't want to hurt people's feelings.
Like, I'm just curious because obviously people are more sensitive now, and back then, like, comedians didn't really care. Do you have to be careful with what you say when you're on stage, or is it still like, say whatever you please?
All right. I haven't been on stage before, so I don't know, but I know I've noticed that a lot of comedians, a lot of people, they sort of go to the boundary, but they're not overstepping like they used to. Back in the day, the best times of comedy, you know, 90s, 80s, early 2000s, before this wokeness came out, it was fantastic. Now it's like you get a massive group of people doing comedy that are sort of like, just in my opinion, stupid. Like it's not funny and it's not my type of comedy. So for other people, good luck to watch it. But then you have other people that still push those boundaries and like to talk about anything and everything, and it should be. I think comedy is the safest place to actually have a laugh and to go into those, because comedians, I don't think you can actually really cancel a comedian, to be honest. You might go for a rough patch, but then you can always come out like Louis C.K. They try to go for him, you know, for all the bad stuff that he was doing, but he's still back and he's bigger than ever, you know?
True.
So, yeah, I think comedy is probably the safest place that you can poke fun at that. And if you don't like what the comedian's saying, don't go and don't listen to him, man. Just change it. Just like I always say, just change the channels. You go watch something else. Go watch Days of Our Lives or some, I don't know, something else, some other type of podcast, some wokeness, some
wokeness.
Yeah. I don't like the wokeness. I like being real and you shouldn't be able to stop people from, I guess, expressing themselves. But you're touching on a line there saying, well, that's what we're trying. Like, you guys won't let us express. Like, fucking express yourself. But if it's funny and bullshit, we'll call it out.
Yeah, 100%. And last question. So what's next for Daniel Stojafy?
I don't know, man. So, all right. We're going to start. So the food reviews are coming back. So we put a hold on them for a little while because, Christmas and my dad wasn't doing too well.
How's he feeling, by the way?
He's feeling better.
That's good to hear. I've been praying for him.
Oh, thank you. They're working. So he's slowly getting better. It's a very karmic thing that happened to him in life of being angry and stuff. And I'll talk to you about it off camera. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And when people say I pray for you, that's such a beautiful thing to say, especially like when you do something wrong and, someone honks, I'll pray for you. So what did I do wrong there? So the food reviews will start again. I've got to find my way of doing that because everyone's starting to put their 2 cents, do this, do that, go eat this. No, wait a second. Let me bring it back to what I want to do. But we're starting to do a couple of different things and experiment. We're going to start doing our, as our group, Unhinged. I'm not going to stop that. We're going to go further. Doing group content. We're going to do more content going out onto the streets and interviewing people, street content. We're going to get you a part of it, Biazi. This gentleman over here, your missus can come as well if she wants. We'll go interstate. We'll start traveling the world. We're going to start looking at ways and what we can come up with and just see where this takes us, man. But the content won't stop. And I don't know, eventually settle down and have kids, man.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you for coming down again. It was an amazing podcast, and I always enjoy talking to you.
Yeah, it's Justin, you're like one of my favorite people, man. I've only known you for a short time, but every time I think about you, I cry. No, I don't. You're such a beautiful man. Thank you. Do not change. Be who you are and explore and don't stop, and we need to wrestle one day.
Yeah, for sure. We
definitely need to wrestle, man. We've got to go for that.
I'm also still waiting for Mario to wrestle me.
I reckon you'll snap him in half. I reckon he's a big, strong man, but just you're thick. I don't know. There's just something. You're thick. It's just like, I reckon. No, you probably won't snap him. There's a lot to snap there. But we should all do something together and have some fun, man. All this content, it's like people will go out there and try to get views and grow and all that. So it's cool, man. It's quite addictive actually. How many views it is getting that? That's fine, but have fun. That's what I'm doing with mine. I just have fun. If I have the time of my life on one of my episodes and it gets 1 view, I'm like, okay, got 1 view. What can we do better? But I still had fun. That was amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying myself. And really, laughter is the best medicine. And also making good relationships with people. And what we're doing here, man, it's fantastic, man. It's an honor to meet you and be. And
likewise.
I consider you a friend. And
Same.
especially when we walk towards Jerusalem, when we go there, we'll be brothers. We're brothers now, but we'll be even more brothers then in the eyes of Christ. And we'll find out what's going on in this world and try to bring some peace, mate.
I'm looking forward to that day. And until next time,